All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is the third session. We did receive PBA's proposals here, if you want to pass those out. So thank you for passing those. And I think overall, we've been in agreement on pretty much everything almost everything that's been brought forward between the parties this year, and that's nice. In the last session, you did bring forward a proposal, and so thank you for bringing that. I would say that proposal in normal years would have gotten a deal that day, right? I thought it was fair. So this year, though, is different for us. And if, we're not alone in this, our districts throughout the state are really struggling right now, similar to ours, where our enrollment being down so much, and it's not just from the scholarships, it's our ELL students took a big drop this year, and all on top of that, the state funded us the worst they've funded us in, at least a decade, including, with the exception of 1 year for COVID, but we had ESSER funds, so nobody really noticed that. And when I was made aware of our financial situation, I really didn't expect to have a raise at all. And my first thought was, gosh, bargaining is going to be a really difficult year this year. And I still think it is, because I think over the past few years we've had some good raises as a district. We have. I've been here for a long time, and those raises that we were getting were better than many other years. We did our best to put everything we had on the table, and whenever we could, try to improve things. And so I do appreciate all the collaboration that you guys have had throughout negotiations so far. And in terms of our salary proposal, I'm not going to go back and forth with these little offers, little changes, from where we were last. I do have exactly what I've been authorized to spend, and I'm going to put that on the table. So that is the same thing that we've been authorized to spend for our teachers, which is a 3% package. It's a 1.5% recurring and a 1.5% one-time lump sum, and that's my best and final offer on salary. So
okay, similar to last time, we're not surprised, because I think that what you guys basically do is an unspoken Me Too clause. So what the teachers get, we get offered. So I think that we knew that this was coming. But I think that, we wanted to see if that's what you're going to offer us, but it is. So it's not a surprise. And I just think that we have questions regarding the budget. And I know you say best and final, but I think that we have to be careful with those things, because I know that you have in mind the amount that you want to allocate for the police raises and the bonus, but we actually want to know what that amount is and how we can use it. So, yeah, what is that budgeted for, that 1.5 and 1.5?
1% increase is 281,000, so it would be 281,000 times 1.5.
And then you're saving what by making the other 1.5 a bonus?
It's not that we're saving, it's just there are no additional recurring funds available, and so that is going to potentially eat into the district fund balance. So that's why I want to align one-time funds with a one-time bonus.
At the, when we came to our board and we talked about this, our board or superintendent did push us to go better than what we were funded for. So there is no savings by going to the lump sum cash. It's just at the end of the day, it's a 3% package that we're sending people home with, this year, as opposed to just a 1.5.
I guess
so,
what we were wondering is, because that estimate of what you say the 1% costs includes the FRS amounts and things like that. So with the bonus, some of those costs shouldn't be included with FRS and.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can pull up what the exact estimate is.
Okay, and I know that the teacher, it's been said the teacher's the tail that wags the dog, but I just think that the reality is the 1% costs $10 million for the teachers, but that's not what it costs for the law enforcement. They're a much smaller unit. They're the only unit of sworn. I know I'm like a broken record every time.
I hear you. So one thing I think I just want to make sure we're all like thinking of when we're talking about how much money's left over and stuff like that is our, what's come up many times is like our size of our budget, right? It's like, oh, they got almost, $6 billion budget. But the size of your budget doesn't really tell you, well, you have, because it's larger, you have more money for raises. It's based on the size of our operation, right? Our operation is larger than most districts, and that's why our budget's bigger. This year's per student funding increase was, I think, what, 1.3%?
1.3, yes.
1.3%. So in a lot of that funding that was added offset some of the increases in costs that the district experiences too. Costs for, a lot of things that we have to pay for have gone up. We understand. So just because the budget is bigger doesn't mean that there's more money left over for raises. It's all allocated based on what our operation size is.
And then I think that what we've been wondering too, and what the members are wondering, if the enrollment is down, was the capital improvement plan and like those sorts of spending, were those scaled back because the student enrollment is down and there's less growth?
Well, there's two different funding buckets, and capital funds cannot be used for operating purposes. And the majority of what our capital funding is for, even the sales tax initiatives, is not building new facilities. It's for just maintaining our existing facilities. Just like when you have your house, you have to make sure that you replace your roof and you paint it and you do all of those things, because if you don't continue to properly maintain it, it's going to cost a whole lot more down the road. So the capital funding is primarily just for planned maintenance on those facilities. And then in regards to the budget is actually not going to be going up this year, because with the loss of enrollment, we lost $45 million. Based on changing in the staffing formula, we're only saving $20 million. The budget that was approved and adopted by the board does not reflect that loss of revenue, because we're not going to see that loss in revenue from the Florida Department of Education until most likely January. So the budget that was adopted does not reflect that reduction in revenue or the resulting loss of the $25 million shortfall.
And last time you said you're not really understaffed, but if 315 is not like the actual full complement number, then what do you guys consider the full complement number?
I'll defer to Chief on that.
Say that again.
Last time we were talking about you still have staffing shortages. That's our belief, and that's, I think, why you guys didn't implement the hiring freeze with the law enforcement. So we were discussing that, and if 315 is not like the real full complement number, what would you consider the real full complement number?
I would really like us to be able to get to 300. If we could get to 300, I think we'd be very solid.
Okay, and so all those extra slots, you still use those vacancy rates to pay the outside law enforcement officers, right?
Is that where the dollars come from?
No, it's not based on all of the vacancies, because there are vacancies that are within the school complement, that are school-based officers, versus those that are department-based. So we would only be looking at those that are school-based officers, and so that, I think, would be less than that complement of officers, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, we have a designated number that are positions assigned to the schools themselves. So then the additional that are kind of your floaters and even the sergeants that kind of fall under that, because that's where they were allocated initially before they became like a true separate entity. They were counted as officers. So that number all is encompassed in that 300 that I'm looking to try to get to.
Right, but what are you talking about then, Heather? What is the school-based officer number?
Are you asking how many officers we would want for our schools?
Right.
Designated for schools? Is that what
Right,
you're
if
saying?
you're fully staffed for schools.
Minimum fully staffing would be one at each school.
So
So
that's,
182
okay.
plus supervision.
Okay, I think we have those are the types of questions we get from our members, and I think that we also want to request current salary numbers and things like that, and what we're going to plan to do is have a member meeting before the next meeting. I know Diane sent 2 other dates, so I'll talk to the reps.
What did you mean by school-based officer versus officer?
Those are the ones actually assigned to the schools versus those that are the department-based positions.
But you're not including the sergeants, you said, right? Okay.
And department-based, you mean anything outside of the school?
It would be, we actually have officers, I'll try to help. We have some officers that are not designated to a specific school. So it like be somebody that might be, whether it's our CID people, the compliance people, that kind of thing. There's positions that are not attached to a school. But our minimum staffing would be that one per school. That's like our starting point.
And when we do our budget, are we budgeting for 300 officers or not count, okay, 300 school officers and then outside officers? Are they two different line items?
Did you get to that?
There are two different job codes that we have within the system that designates which ones are budgeted at school sites versus which ones are budgeted within the department.
And in previous years, though, we used, I'll say we used 315 as a budgeted number, so we could use that monies for outside agencies.
Not all of that money was being used for outside agencies. It was being used to help offset, but I know that not every position was being
I
filled with an
understand that,
outside agency.
and we talked about that, you explained that previously, but what are we budgeting for now, and then the leftover is for other logistics, we'll call it?
He's asking where all that money goes, if you're budgeted for 315.
I'm not.
Because we don't
I'm
use
not-
outside agencies anymore.
There are still outside agencies being used. They've been minimized. They've been, yeah, they're supplementing, but it's not every single vacant position that's being filled.
I think he's just asking where all that money goes. If you only have, like, right now fully staffed around 240 or whatever it is, plus the command, where that extra money from the vacancies goes.
So we do have school police in a separate internal service fund. So whatever, and then we charge out, and I know that I explained this to the group before, we charge out an amount to each of the schools, as if we were contracting with officers. And so all of that, in a sense, internal revenue that's generated goes back into that school police internal service fund. So within school police, there is a fund balance within the school police internal service fund.
A question. Do you have an average amount of how many teachers per month separate from the job? Like based on past years?
We have turnover data, sure.
Would you know what that number is with the teachers?
Who
Ballpark.
voluntarily leave the district, you mean?
Yeah, through retirement and the drop, whatever reasons.
It's been, I mean, well, if you add in retirement, it's a little bit higher. Or those who are involuntary separations, right?
Right.
We're somewhere around 9%, I believe. But
A month.
actual voluntary separations by the district, by teachers, has been right around 6%, a little under it.
Per month?
No. Well, it's per
Per
year.
year.
We do it per year.
Per year, okay. And that's based on approximately 12,000 teachers?
13,000.
13,000, okay. And so, and
Just
also,
I'd like to add, it's significantly lower than what the national averages are, somewhere around 18%.
gotcha, okay. And you said there was a hiring freeze?
For teachers, there is not a hiring freeze anymore. We've placed all of our staff. When we realized the extent of the enrollment decline and our situation with our budget, we had to right-size our staff to be aligned with our budget. We did that. We didn't lay anybody off. Nobody lost their job as a result, which was really our number one priority. And then after that, though, we still have an operation to run, right? We still have classrooms to run. We've got other staff members that are essential to our operations, so those were opened up. However, all district administrative positions, even school-based administrative positions, continue to be on a hiring hold. So, any district staff in this building or other that are not school-related, still subject to a hiring hold to limit, limit spending wherever possible. Going into next school year, we're going to take a very close look at our budget to see how we can adjust our staffing, so that we can look back at this year as a year that was tough, but we moved on from, right? And hopefully our mission across the district is to make sure we do our best to keep our kids, draw kids back from charters or wherever else they might be going, and that with that, we keep the funding.
Are you
Okay,
guys
and-
still offering the experience credit to the new hires? You are?
That was something, yeah, that's why we wanted to put that in, yeah. So not just a one-time thing.
All right, and
And there's a big portion of the teachers that are rehires also, correct? Like from substitute
Sure,
to
you
teacher?
do, yeah, I mean, you have people moving from substitute to teacher if they become certified. You've got people who separate and maybe come back. But sure.
And I do have so the amount, the cost of the 1.5 recurring is 422,700, and the cost of the one-time bonus is 335,000.
You said 35. 335.
335,
Okay.
yes.
Okay,
So,
I
I
think
just
we're,
have a quickie point also here. So, so if you lay off ballpark, about 216 is the number based on the 6% on 13,000 per year. That's in a sense, it's almost like layoffs through attrition. Just 10 teachers alone probably saves you about $1 million.
You're talking
Right.
about the
Salaries.
turnover?
Yeah.
Right, but if they're
No, it's
budgeted.
about like when people separate from the job entirely.
So, right, so, but if, let's just say we have, when we head into a school year, for example, I can tell you in a second, but when we have turnover, right, we then advertise those jobs and fill it, right? So, this year, we have hired, well, including transfers, 1,500, almost 1,600 teachers. And that includes your transfers, your moves, and stuff like that. But so our overall teacher vacancy rate right now we have a couple different ways to look at vacancies, right? And one is when in HR's perspective, a vacancy is something that you're trying to fill, right? In budgeted, it's different. It means that there's a budgeted position that's empty, right? For us, we have about a 1% vacancy rate right now of teacher positions that are advertised that we're trying to fill. So I'd say in the last few years, that number dating back to like, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, that was in the 4s, then in the 3s, last year in the 2s, this year in the 1, right? So it's been going down. But I don't know if that answers your question, but we're not saving any money from we're not saving as much as you think. Like when you have the turnover, we turn around and advertise the position and fill it.
Right,
immediately,
and
because we're running a classroom out
a
of it.
rehire would just cost you the gap in salary, not necessarily the
Sometimes that
entire
could be
position.
more. With teachers, we do grant salary credit for experience as well. We offer up to 25 years of experience. It's something that's helped us draw people in.
And the way we budget for teachers is using an average salary. So, and then there's also we budget a vacancy rate because I know that we're never going to get to 100% staffing, fill rate within the teacher position. So we budget a vacancy rate. So that is already, it's built into the calculation. So there is no savings from lapsed salary. And then anything over what that budgeted vacancy rate is one time. You cannot guarantee it. It's non-recurring funds. Like Mr. Kubrick said, during the pandemic, our vacancy rates were the highest during that time period. And we slowly were able to reduce the vacancies. So the same in the teachers, same in the police area as well. We've been slowly able to each year reduce the number of vacancies. And then when you have to pull out, to over 230 teacher positions, that it completely evaporated whatever, savings we would have had in lapsed salary. But again, that's why it's one-time money. You can't It's not something that you can guarantee each year.
Well, on some level too, you know, when a top-tier teacher retires, you're replacing them with a entry-level teacher.
That's
which is
built
in that-
into the average salary. That's what I'm saying. We don't budget based on actual salaries. We budget based on an average. And when you budget based on an average, you build in a vacancy rate. You also you build in a turnover rate, which is you're losing people at the high end and you're bringing them in at the lower end. That is all built into our average salary.
What do you guys have the vacancy rate at for the law enforcement?
I don't really measure it. I can talk with Chief about that and send it to you for sure.
Yeah, because I think that we're just wondering, like, the discrepancy between the 182 versus 300. I guess, do you want to go through everything else and then we can caucus?
Sure.
Okay.
So, we added some language. Did you pass out ours? Yeah. Okay. So we added, the increase to detail, $60 and $70. Those are effective July 1st. Chief and the team did work on, section 1712. So if you want to take a read on that and see if that works, I think we're in agreement on that, but let me know if we're not.
Is the extra hours worked? That's the same idea of what we proposed.
What's that?
The word extra, just,
Oh, yes.
okay, I think that looks pretty much like what we had.
1714, just the paid non-work day. We're already in agreement on that. Career ladder, it's just to strike out the joint study committee. You could see there our salary adjustment language. Nothing out of the ordinary, the 80% that we've discussed, and then the sergeant promotion process, that all qualifications must be achieved by December 31st of the testing year. On the back page, we've got our new minimum hourly rates of pay, minimum and maximum hourly rates of pay, along with the minimum and maximum 12-month salaries.
And then workers' comp, I assume you just want to keep it status quo.
Correct.
I just don't see how you can deny them use of their sick leave bank when they're out to supplement the workers' comp pay.
I'm not an expert on workers' comp.
Because it's their own time, so whether it's a work-related or personal injury, I don't see how they can be denied use of their own leave bank.
Yeah, our understanding is legally that is an option. And so we do have an outside workers' comp attorney that we work with.
But it just, I don't even know if the Article 18 specifies for when you use leave, you can use
Did
it
you
for
say
your
that
own
was an
sick
option?
or injury. She's
No.
saying
It
that
wasn't
she
an
doesn't
option.
think that they have to let you use your own sick leave bank, but I just think that Article 18 states you can use your sick leave for sickness or injury. Why do you want to not let them use their sick leave bank when they're out?
Our position on that was to really just stick with the statutory language. We could look and have some further discussions with our workers' comp designated on that.
Because that's just
to-
the floor,
Understood,
yeah.
yeah.
And then the eval, I guess that's more of a question for the chief. We just wanted some kind of cutoff for if they're out on a workers' comp injury. And we thought 90 days was reasonable if they're only out for 90 days.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that. I think putting it into the contract, there was an anomaly last year.
Right.
So it's a one incident thing, and I don't even think that it got addressed the way I don't think it came out in the end in the wash like it should have, because there was an evaluation done. It was just not able to qualify for that 165. I think this new measure is going to, or this new tool is going to help us to be able to do a quicker, more, regardless of where you're assigned. If you're assigned to do the work, then you'll get an evaluation for the work that you did. If you're not here, 90 days
even
is
like
reasonable.
civilian, like if you're in all, okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're gonna, if, the majority of the people that are on light duty are doing something here, so we can evaluate their work. It's just making it cleaner, but we're evaluating based on a lot of very specific things in the old instrument. And if you don't see them doing that, doesn't mean you got a bad evaluation, you just, it wasn't observed. So I think that, personally, I don't think we need to make a change to it at all, because I think it was an anomaly that we're trying to correct, but I don't think it's an ongoing thing, and it's something that, had it been addressed in a timely fashion by the officer, it wouldn't have been an issue at all.
Okay, all right, so we'll caucus, and then I think we're in agreement though on Article 17, and 21, we didn't have an issue with your 21, so.
I have a quick question. The free meals for the children, what does that come out of?
That comes out of the school food service fund. There is a separate individual fund, similar to what we have with the school police department. So the revenue generated and the expenses are all within that fund. But there is a requirement that the district has to fund any shortfall if it were to go into a deficit position.
Okay. So also, in theory, since you have 5,500 less students, you're paying for 55, well, ballpark less meals also,
But you're also
potentially
getting revenue.
2 or 3 a day.
No, but you're also getting less revenue for those 5,500 students. So we do anticipate that there will most likely be a shortfall within that fund, but the fund balance that is built up, we feel is going to be sufficient. But if it does get to the point of where it's structurally imbalanced, that is a requirement that it would have to be funded through the district general fund.
Yeah, we absolutely appreciate that you're getting, less funding because there's less students, but there's also less costs. Like, a lot of the buses are making 2 runs because there was way too many students throughout the whole district. So now they're making 1 run. There's a fuel savings, there's a meal savings, there's a lot of these kids had specialized ESOL kids and had teachers assigned to them. So since a lot of them are gone, there's a cost savings there. There's programs you guys had teaching. Some of you said a lot of it had to do with immigration. A lot of the parents didn't speak English. You hired folks to teach them English. A lot of them are gone. So I'm just saying that
No, but
there's
I
cost
honestly
in a lot
wish,
of areas.
I wish you were right, but we're looking at losing $45 million, and the savings were generated from realigning the staffing based on our current staffing models at the school. We're only saving $20 million. We are short $25 million. It's, like I said, I truly wish you were right, but when, in a case of declining enrollment, it's never going to work out in the scenario that you're saying we're going to be saving more, because we're losing 100% of the revenue, yet we're not losing 100% of the expenses. Because think about the kids. We're not just taking all the kids and emptying out of one school and then losing the principal, the assistant principal, the data processor, the treasurer, and you're not losing all of the teachers. Because it is based on a staffing formula. We do have class size mandates at the state level as a school of choice. So you are, in times of increasing enrollment, it's exactly the opposite. We're increasing and we're getting 100% of the revenue for that student, yet it doesn't cost us 100% of that revenue to be able to service that student. That's why we were able to give higher raises in those years where we had increasing enrollment. Declining enrollment is a very difficult position to be in, because you are losing significantly more. It's costing you a lot more, and you're losing 100% of that revenue.
I had a question about the capital plan for the security enhancements. What mostly are those, the security enhancements and projects?
The security enhancements, it's a BDA project, so you'll know the bi-directional amplifiers to make sure that there's radio frequencies within the building, fencing, the card access, badges. You know, we have to continually update all of that security within the schools. Can you, I'm sure, can also think of some others.
Yeah, there's been a bunch, I mean, the
cameras,
switching over the
security
radios, the
just camera.
cameras, radios for the schools themselves. There's just, they're like big ticket, larger, long-term projects that are gonna, they're not like one-hit wonders. They're things that are gonna be ongoing.
And you have to continually refresh because they don't last forever. So we have them built into the plan to ensure that we continue to maintain them.
So based on that number, you said, you know, you took a $45 million hit. You just said, correct me if I'm wrong, that it wasn't the same kind of savings. You only saved 20 million. So your hit in reality is only 25 million, not 45, if you're
That's what
saving 20.
that is what I said, that we're losing $45 million in
Right.
revenue. We're only saving 20 million based on staffing changes. So we're looking at a shortfall going into
25.
next year of 25.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And then that is not assuming that we're going to, that enrollment stays flat. If we have another decline in enrollment, it's the same compounding problem.
It's a ballpark number.
When you do projections in the budget for student loss, how many students do you project every year? Do you project a 500 students loss a year?
So we project enrollment every year. There's a very detailed analysis that's performed through the planning department that looks at births, looks at new communities being opened, developments that are being opened, new schools being opened in the area. So we projected a decline of only 400 students this year. In addition to the district projection, there's also a state projection. We then have to match up our projection with the state projection, and we were aligned. So it was not only that the district was, and not only just in Palm Beach County, but statewide, where the district was off, the state was also off quite significantly because we were aligned with having a projected decrease of only 400 students this year with the state. So a reduction of 5,500 was well beyond what we had anticipated.
Okay, we're gonna caucus.
We have rooms C and D available.
Is that way?
Yes. I think
Okay.
so.
All right, so we talked a lot amongst ourselves, and I think there's a lot of information that we're gonna email to you for you guys to provide to us, so that we'll have it for our member meeting. So I don't think it's productive to have a meeting on Tuesday, so if we can replace it with the labor management meeting, that would be good. And then we'll take that November 18th date.
November 18th?
Yeah, for bargaining, because I think she offered 2, but I have something else October 30th, so November 18th works.
November 18th?
Before Thanksgiving.
I mean, if you have anything else in November, if you have any other dates in November,
We could take a look and float some dates that might also work, where,
October, no, November 18th.
no, she says she will be,
Out of
okay.
town. I'll be at a training.
are you here?
Yes. I was
Okay.
thinking it was October.
Okay, as long as I have a few of you,
Well, yeah, well, it's not
we
gonna-
can
Yeah.
call you.
Okay.
So that'll probably work, but if you have other November dates, you can email them.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we're gonna email some requests for information regarding the numbers and things like that. So for now, I guess we can TA Article 17 and 21, and then we'll meet again on 18 and 20.
Yep, sounds
Okay.
good to me.
Okay.
All right,
Okay,
thank you all, appreciate your time today.
thank you.